Do you know which metropolis is often painted as the most brilliant symbol of Asia? That designation belongs to Hong Kong. It is a place where simply looking up reveals a sky torn apart by gleaming glass towers. And the roar of a Rolls-Royce engine blends with the neon lights to form a rhythm of opulence envied globally. In popular media, this city is depicted as a paradise of glamour and wealth, leading many to believe that simply landing at Cheklapkok Airport is stepping into an elite world. However, let us pause that glittering facade for a moment. For right beneath the 100-story skyscrapers, in one of the planet's most expensive territories, exists a living hell that few dare to confront. Hundreds of thousands of people are forced to live in rooms so small that extending one's legs touches the wall in cages, that are scalding hot in the summer and freezing cold in the winter. This is where people sleep next to toilets and share stagnant air. Ironically, this is the dark underbelly of the city once hailed as Asia's premier financial center. Of existence, Hong Kong's immense wealth is self-evident. The price of just 1 square meter of land far exceeds the lifetime income of many residents. Yet amidst this affluence, an entire class is being left behind, crushed by the world's highest housing prices and trapped in horrifying living coffins. The fundamental question is, why does such an immensely wealthy city allow its own citizens to live in such degrading conditions amidst Asia's richest financial hub? Glass towers glow brightly every night, like spears piercing the sky, and international capital flows like a torrent. There exists an underground world that evokes an immediate sense of choking despair. This is not a slum in the traditional sense, but a form of legalized urban misery. Over 200,000 individuals are crammed into apartments that have been subdivided to the point of distortion. These include iron cages stacked like animal pens, and most appallingly, the Casket homes, where each person is forced to curl up inside a box smaller than a baby's crib. The average area of such a dwelling is a staggering 1.5 square meters. This is just enough space to place a single mattress, allowing a body to lie straight with the head touching the door and the feet hitting the wall, requiring careful planning just to turn over. This is a space comparable to a filing cabinet, a large suitcase, or a cold storage compartment for a corpse. Yet in Hong Kong, a place advertised as a paradise of wealth, it is referred to by the bitterly ironic name, home. The true shock, however, is not the size, but the rent. This individual, sweltering, oxygen-deprived, windowless box, devoid of a single ray of sunlight, costs between $250 and $500 United States dollars per month. This implies that the rent per square meter here is more expensive than a $1 million villa in the Peak, the prestigious address for international financiers and movie stars. A brutal paradox plays out daily in Hong Kong. The poorest must pay the highest price for the right to exist. The conditions of confinement. Stepping inside these Casket homes means entering a space that makes anyone seeing it for the first time hesitate to breathe. The cooking area is placed right next to the toilet, a cynical joke played by fate. Residents cook instant noodles while inhaling sewage smells, eating to the constant sound of wastewater trickling next to their beds. The walls are mold-ridden, and natural air never enters. There are no windows, no light, no semblance of life. The air inside is thick with the smell of sweat, mildew, stale food, hot plastic, and despair. In the summer, these boxes turn into human ovens. Temperatures can reach 95 to 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit. But because the space is sealed like a tin can, the heat cannot escape. Some residents report having to stand up to sleep to breathe more easily. The rainy season is equally grim. The dampness is so pervasive that blankets and pillows are constantly cold and wet. Every sound and every breath echoes in the 1.5 square meter space, making time seem to decay along with the four walls. A BBC reporter once remarked after entering one, "This is the first time I've seen a living space worse than a prison cell." The residents themselves have grown so accustomed to it that they resort to gallows humor to keep from weeping. "We live in a wooden coffin now. When we die, we move to an earthen one. What's the difference?" This seemingly jocular statement conceals a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching sigh, the sigh of those forgotten right in the heart of the world's most expensive city. Why has the government turned a blind eye? Why does a leading Asian economic powerhouse with a GDP per capita comparable to major nations, and a public treasury consistently boasting hundreds of billions of USD. Allow the festering wound of Casket homes to persist for years? Is it truly impossible for such a wealthy government to fund social housing or rezone urban areas? The answer is even more unsettling than one might imagine. It is not that they cannot do it, but that they choose not to. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is a real policy that has operated for decades and forms the bedrock of Hong Kong's entire economic model, the high land price policy. Hong Kong is a tax haven, with low personal income tax, low corporate tax, low profit tax, and low consumption tax. This is the perfect bait to attract international capital, making it one of the world's largest financial centers. But if tax revenue is so low, where does the government get the money to run its apparatus, build infrastructure, and maintain welfare? The answer is encapsulated in two words: selling land. The Hong Kong government owns all the land. They do not sell the land itself, but rather the right to use it via auction to real estate conglomerates. To sell land at high prices, they must maintain land values at the highest possible level. This is the driving motivation that has made Hong Kong the world's most expensive housing market for years, surpassing even New York, Tokyo, London, and Singapore combined. They achieve this through a simple yet cruel mechanism: choking the housing supply. Few realize that only about 7% of Hong Kong's total area is designated for housing. The rest, about 40%, is labeled as national parks, nature reserves, and ecological zones. While this sounds idyllic and environmentally conscious, behind this veneer is a harsh truth. It is a political shield to prevent anyone from touching the land and turning it into affordable housing. If the government were to expand residential land, release a large volume of social housing, or cut land prices, a cascade of negative economic consequences would occur. Real estate prices would fall into freefall. Millions of middle-class citizens who took out lifelong loans to buy homes would see their assets evaporate. Giant real estate corporations would lose hundreds of billions of USD in capitalization. The banking system, which relies on housing prices for mortgage collateral, would face massive bad debt. Hong Kong's economy, dependent on land, finance, and assets, would collapse in an instant. In this economic model, housing prices are not allowed to fall. The market is not permitted to self-regulate. Land prices must be high, even absurdly high, to maintain the illusion of prosperity. The invisible landlords and the helpless crowd. The story of Hong Kong's Casket homes is not just an indictment of the giant real estate firms, or the cynical power play between the government and the financial elite. Behind it lies an urban parasite class, less often discussed, but equally fierce and sophisticated in exploiting the poor, the petty landlords. Their mechanism is frighteningly simple. They purchase dilapidated 40 to 50 square meter apartments in rundown buildings, places the middle class wouldn't bother to look at. Instead of renting the whole unit for 12,000 Hong Kong dollars to 15,000 Hong Kong dollars per month, they subdivide it into 8 to 10 Casket homes, each slightly bigger than a wardrobe. Each cubicle rents for about 3,000 Hong Kong dollars per month. This means the entire apartment can yield 30,000 Hong Kong dollars, double the traditional rental income, with minimal added costs beyond a few wooden partitions or iron frames. This is an open gold mine that the law is not strong enough to suppress, making profit derived from human misery a semi-legal, rapidly accelerating business. Because the profit is so massive, these petty landlords become utterly apathetic. They do not care who the tenant is, how they live or die, or how they breathe in that tight, oxygen-starved space. They only care about the monthly transfer of funds. They are indifferent if someone is sick, depressed, bitten by rats, or even found dead a week later. To them, the tenant is not a person. They are just a stream of revenue. What about the people living there? Do they resist? Yes, but their voices are as faint as a mosquito trapped beneath tons of concrete. They are manual laborers, solitary elderly individuals, and unverified immigrants from mainland China. No one hears their cries over the relentless clamor of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. They're caught in a perfect poverty trap. Low wages drive them into Casket homes. Living in Casket homes damages their health. Poor health prevents them from getting better jobs. And so, they remain in the Casket homes, a sealed trap with no escape. A significant number of young Hong Kong residents have chosen to lie flat, abandoning the dream of homeownership. Foregoing marriage, giving up on having children, and withdrawing from competition. They work just enough to survive, with little hope or motivation to compete in a society they know they will never conquer. For them, becoming a slave to real estate, incurring 3 to 4 decades of debt just to buy an apartment smaller than a bathroom in the US, is meaningless. They would rather live slowly, with less than race endlessly toward a finish line that doesn't exist. A scathing indictment. This entire narrative is a scathing indictment of a pathologically materialistic society. It exposes the truth that when money is crowned king, human dignity is relegated to trash. Hong Kong is dazzlingly glamorous, but that light is built upon the darkness of hundreds of thousands of people living in iron cages. This is not development. It is decay masked by neon lights. The most terrifying aspect is that Hong Kong is not poor. It has enough money to build tens of thousands of social housing units, the capacity to renovate old properties, and sufficient land reserves for urban expansion. But they refuse to do so, because lowering land prices means collapsing their entire economic model. Land dealers are prioritized over human life. Housing prices must be high to fund the budget, and investors must be preferred over the homeless. Everything revolves around a single axis, protecting the interests of the wealthy. Looking at Hong Kong offers a profound lesson for rapidly urbanizing nations. We are already witnessing those few square meter rental units emerging in the major cities of these countries. Housing prices are soaring far beyond the income of workers. And a segment of the young generation is beginning to despair over the dream of home ownership. If we are not careful, if land policy is manipulated by group interests, and if development pursues mere numbers while forgetting the human element, the casket home scenario could absolutely unfold in these nations as well.